Whether this is your first time joining us or you've been with us from the start, welcome to How Did I Get Here podcast, where we talk about mindset transformation of how we have become who we are and how we navigate and become better individuals. I'm your host, Chibuye, James Mwape. And today we are digging deep into something many of us have never stopped to question, and that is culture. If identity is the house you live in, then culture is the land upon which it is built. And the value of a house, to a degree, is also determined by the land or area in which it is. So culture doesn't just decorate your life with traditions. No, and culture is not just about traditions, because most people, when we talk about culture, they think tradition. Okay, they think traditional ceremonies and all those things, but culture is simply a way of life. Okay, culture is how we do things around here. Culture is the invisible air we breathe and spoken rules we follow. It's the stories that we inherit about what is normal or what is right. So it informs your expectations about who you are supposed to be. And so before you even learned your own name, your culture was teaching you what to value, what to avoid, what to choose, or what to fear. And the problem with this is that when culture stories go unchallenged, they can quietly hijack your identity. So today we are asking, what role did culture play in shaping who you think you are? Let me break it down this way. Before you knew yourself, culture told you what was acceptable to be. Think of it. Think about this. Long before you could articulate your own needs, you were being trained by culture. For some of us, this looked like a man doesn't cry. A woman's worth is in how much she sacrifices. And children must be seen but not heard. You know, these were not just words. They are code of conduct. They taught you what was acceptable and what was shameful. And in many African communities or cultures, we learned early that respect often meant silence. Expressing hate meant you are weak. Questioning authority was rebellion. So what did we do? We shaped ourselves to fit what was acceptable, even if it meant losing touch with what was authentic. And we carried those habits into adulthood. And sometimes we wonder why we shrink in rooms when we need to stand tall, where we feel that fear to just be able to speak up. We can't articulate our ideas in front of our superiors or in front of authorities. Whatsoever that authority people say, it's yes, sir, yes, ma. You follow it without question. And when you are not around authority figures, of course, you complain. You suddenly have a voice, because the only point where you were able to express yourself was around your peers. But in front of your parents, your family members who were elderly, you were unable to do that. And the effects now, they are seen in your daily habits, your daily interactions with people, because that culture sort of shaped how you see yourself in the world. And every culture gives you a script. It says, this is who you are, and this is how you fit. Because culture hands you a role you didn't audition for. And some of us were told, you are responsible. You are the firstborn. You have to be responsible. You must hold the family together. So you grow up with that sense of responsibility. Why? That is a script that we are given to you. You are quiet. You are the quiet one. Don't cause problems. You are the troublemaker. So we don't expect much. And I've given these stories about myself where I was a problem child. So nothing much was expected of me. And one of the things that I usually remember is during it should be grade 7 exams. Yeah. I remember I went to school. I was we wrote our exams, and of course we went to check, and I passed. So we went to see Granny. And I told her, yeah, I've actually made it to grade 8. And she was like, really? Like, yo, what? Really? Like, she didn't believe me that I actually made it to grade 8. Like, what do you people see? she had to like ask from my friends to confirm, are you sure this guy has made it to grade 8? You're like, yo. Yeah, yes, he has actually made it to grade 8. His name is actually there. And I did well based on where I was, okay? And of course, there are other areas which had like huge cut off points. But in my area, of course, I did very well. And our exams are categorized that when you make it, they're characterized by you're either in the morning or you're in the afternoon. And for me, my results when they came out, I qualified to actually go in the morning. So those ones that were going in the morning were like brainy people and the likes, according to the education system. But that's how much culture can make you feel. Is imagine that they don't expect anything from you because why? You're a problem child, so nothing much is expected of you. And once these scripts are given, they start performing. We start performing them faithfully. Okay? Because it feels safer to be accepted for who others expect than to risk being rejected for who you truly are. And the problem with this is that when you internalize a cultural script that doesn't fit who God created you to be, you spend your whole life performing instead of becoming. And often you don't even realize what's happening, because these scripts don't come with labels. They come with jokes, expectations, or silence. And I've shared again, I think in my previous episode about how I never liked my voice because why? People made fun of my voice, and as a result, I didn't like it. And we have people who have certain features, and people make fun of us, and they begin not to like themselves. They begin to see themselves as inferior. You see yourself as inferior because of certain features that you have. Why? Because society begins to call you names. They make jokes around the person that you are. And as a result, you shrink. You start performing a certain way to just fit in. And if I was to ask you, what roles did your culture give you? And do they reflect God's truth or just odd stories you were never meant to carry? Trauma doesn't just live in individuals, it echoes through cultures. What we have to understand is that culture passes down collective trauma. Here's what I mean. Collective trauma shapes cultural mindset in powerful ways. In many African societies, cultures were impacted by colonization, poverty, or oppression. Those wounds weren't just personal. They became communal mindset. They became family mindset. They taught generation to think life is hard. Don't dream too big. People in power will always exploit you. Don't trust them. Poverty is a curse. You just have to accept. And over time, the more that you hear these things, these beliefs become cultural truths. We don't do this. People like us don't dream like that. People like us don't think like that. In this family, no one has gone beyond this. In this family, this is what is expected. And here's what we forget. Collective trauma doesn't stay in the past. It's passed on through stories, parenting styles, fear, and even humor. It's why you might feel stuck repeating patterns you didn't understand. In Christianity, Jesus came not just for personal salvation, but to heal communities, families, and cultures. He said in Luke 4, verses 18, "He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives," and that includes captives of cultural trauma. Culture also hides or holds hidden wisdom. And I want to make this very clear on this one. The same culture that wounds can also carry keys to healing if we sift the truth from the lies. This is very important. I'll echo this again. Not everything in your culture is a problem. Some things are a gift. And I think this is where I find the problem with certain parents who deny their children to learn their native languages, to learn their cultures. Because to them, they perceive culture as bad, as all bad, and they don't want anything to do with certain cultures. So they train their children to grow a certain way where they don't know anything about their roots or where they come from. But we have to understand that certain things carry advantages as well as disadvantages. It's just that sometimes disadvantages outweigh the advantages. African cultures carry powerful wisdom in proverbs, storytelling, communal living, and even spiritual resilience. Africa is one of the most spiritual continents in the planet of this world. How is that really saying? Blind on this world. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's an African proverb. It's a very powerful proverb. And the value of greeting others, seeing or acknowledging others, humanity. Wisdom is only life-given if it aligns with God's truth. Because any cultural value, no matter how beautiful, can become an idol if it replaces what God says. So we need to test all cultures. Keep the parts that reflect Christ and confront the parts that contradicts him. That's the journey of maturity. Not discarding culture completely, but redeeming it. Looking at it closely and picking what works. And that is what is aligned with the word of God. Culture informs you, okay? But there is something else that I want to bring to your attention is that Christ transforms you. So, what role did culture play in shaping you? It taught you what was acceptable. It handed you an identity script. It passed down both wounds and wisdom. But there is hope. There's always hope. Culture doesn't get the final word. Christ does. You have a will. And the Bible in Romans 12 verses 2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That means you are not bound to your cultural script. You are invited to test it, to align every part of your identity with what God says about you. So I will leave you with this question. Which cultural beliefs do you need to confront or celebrate so you can live in truth, not tradition? Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 3 of How Did I Get Here? If this episode helped you see your story more clearly, share it. Share with someone you care about. We will tackle a topic many of us avoid. How does pain become part of your personality? Until then, I'm Chibuye, James Mwape. Let's keep walking the journey back to truth.